females tend to be one of the biggest spenders. And I think that if we are the biggest spenders, why do we not know more about where the economy is going? Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So as with many things, new ideas and discussions tend to start on TikTok and slowly percolate and make its way to YouTube. And I think that luxury lifestyle content is no exception. Most of the biggest creators today and newest ideas are really starting on TikTok. And one of the creators that has risen in a lot of popularity and fame today is this person called Becca Bloom. And if you click this video, you probably already know who she is, but I totally get it. Luxury TikTok is a genre that is really popular because it provides a view into a world that we never otherwise would be able to see or witness or even experience. And so this ability to have this parasocial relationship with many of these influencers, I think is pretty unique. We get to know what their day-to-day life is like, how they sound, how they look, even what their pets eat.
Plate my puppy's breakfast with me. Our chef pre-prepped all the ingredients for me, so I have the easy job of just plating it.
And I think that it's just this unique experience that probably is a little bit like a modern version of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, if you think about it. And I think that one of the reasons Becca Bloom has risen into so much popularity is because you truly sense that she is an authentic person who is just genuinely rich. I sense that a lot of luxury TikTokers nowadays that you see are ones that are really trying to sell you something. So for example, they say things like, I drive a pink Porsche, here's how you can too.
Porsche Pilates mom lifestyle. I know, look at this. How to show you guys something. I drive a pink Porsche.
Or I have all these bags, here's how you can get them too. And I like the idea that they are sharing their secrets, but a lot of the times these luxury TikTokers are selling courses that are thousands of dollars, are not very clear about what it is that they're actually helping you learn, or are just telling you like, you can be a content creator too, here's my content creator course. And I think that narrative has gotten really tiring really quickly. And someone like Becca Bloom, who really has nothing to sell because she doesn't really make money off of us, is something that I think people find genuinely authentic and they really just want to watch her content for entertainment. But I think one of the things that we have overlooked is this sense that she has given us also an idea and glimpse into finances and growing and maintaining wealth. And I think that there's a lot that we can learn as regular average people, even if we don't have gajillions of dollars or trust fund to manage. Because let's face it, most luxury TikTokers, if you're not selling you their course, often don't really tell you what they do or how they made their money. And I totally get that. I'm not saying that people should be sharing that information. That's really private and sometimes is best for their personal safety. But I think like people who are able to share a little bit more into not just what they have, but how they got there is actually incredibly insightful. And I think very, very much lacking in a very women, female dominated audience. I think one of the things that has been very concerning to me in watching a lot of luxury TikTok is that a lot of it espouses marrying a rich husband, buying a lot of different fancy things, but not many of them really share how do you get there. And I get it when it's like all fun and games, and I think it's fine to talk about how you use your family's money or your husband's money. But I do think there is also value in sharing a little bit more about how women can access finance and women can also attain things on their own. And so I'm really appreciative of Becca's videos because I think she does bring the finance side of TikTok and the luxury side of TikTok together really well in a place where I think the intersection of those things hasn't been done as well in the past. One of my favorite videos is when she breaks down like an investment portfolio into high luxury fashion terms.
Y'all, finance works just like Chanel. Let me break down how a hedge fund actually operates. At the top, you have the portfolio manager. You can think of them as the creative director. They set the vision for the entire collection. They decide which pieces to invest in and balance bold trends, which are riskier but higher return, with timeless staples, which are safer and more reliable plays. Then you have the research analyst, and they're basically the fabric expert. They know every textile, every every texture, every trend in the market. They tell you what's higher quality, worth investing in versus just fast fashion trends. Their job is to help the creative director pick the right materials for the collection. Next is the trader, aka the stylist, and they're the ones making it happen in real time. They put the look together, time it for maximum impact, and move fast, because what works today might not work tomorrow. Then you've got the risk manager, aka the tailor. They make sure nothing falls apart when the model hits the runway. They adjust the seams, fix the weak spots, and prevent any financial wardrobe malfunctions. Now, the compliance officer is basically the editor. They give final approval before anything goes public. They make sure the collection follows the rules and avoids scandals.
So as you can see, she really helps empower women to understand that it's not just understanding the terms of finance, it's that you can understand it too. It's not that difficult, and you know more than you think you know. Concepts like diversification of risk are applicable no matter where you are. It's just that in finance terms, it might sound a little bit more scary than in the fashion world. But I think what's most important here is really to focus less on the concepts that you've learned from her video and focus more on the confidence that you might be able to gain knowing this information now.
With that said, I wanted to make one thing crystal clear. You are all exceptionally smart and way more capable than I am. Me simplifying these concepts isn't to dumb anything down for people. This is how I personally break down complex concepts when I'm learning, and this is how I used to tutor calculus. Whether we like it or not, the financial world is heavily gatekept, both by outdated education systems and by people who benefit by making it inaccessible. Explaining economic terms the way that they're traditionally taught would be to ignore the fact that everyone comes from different starting points, different education levels, and different exposures to financial literacy. If you already know these terms, that's great. Feel free to skip them, but as long as there are women who find this helpful, I'm going to keep making these types of videos. Here's some
So it's not that now you know to invest in funds or ETFs, not financial advice by the way, but it's that you understand what goes into it, how to understand it, and so in the future you may be able to understand more. And one thing I've noticed is that when I see a lot of other financial videos, I get intimidated because perhaps they're all men or they're all talking about stocks and sectors that I am less aware of. But I think one thing to remember is that a lot of the things that are in the market today are things women know about. They're things that you know about. If you're watching this video, you probably know about Labubu, for example. Did you know that the parent company of Labubu is one of the highest performing stocks in China at the moment? So I think that to discredit yourself and say that you don't know anything about market trends or how stocks might perform is really underselling the female industry as a whole. You know, females tend to be one of the biggest spenders, and I think that if we are the biggest spenders, why do we not know more about where the economy is going? I think that that is pretty ironic. And this is not financial advice in any way for you to start picking out stocks and companies that you think are going to do well. But if you were to do so, focus on things that you know rather than things that you don't know. Don't be someone who says like, I need to invest in Nvidia if you know nothing about Nvidia. And don't feel pressured to feel like you need to understand the sector if it just doesn't interest you. At the very least, that will help you get to the place of what you don't know. Maybe today you won't know much about the tech sector or what stocks have very high PE ratios versus what do not, but you can start with an area of expertise that you do have. And I'm sure everyone has this, whether that's the luxury space or otherwise. You know what companies are doing really well and what companies are not doing really well. And you can use that as the basis to help your understanding of how to evaluate companies and future-proof your finances. Now, again, this is not financial advice. I'm not saying you should buy individual stocks, but it's a way to empower women to understand the things that go into evaluations of stocks to perhaps understand what you're buying in the future for your own investment portfolio. The second thing that I learned from Becca's videos is just how unbothered she is by other people's stuff. I think that she is very much a very healthy individual, and we see that a lot in her videos where a lot of people like that she is just authentic, true to herself, and very much unbothered. I also think that is very important for people who are watching the luxury space. We tend to see these videos and start to think like, oh, that's what I want. I want to have what she has. I want to have what they have. And that is sometimes the takeaway we get from the videos. But I think one of the takeaways that we can get instead of that is to see like they got there because they were completely unbothered and focused on what they wanted to get and what they wanted to achieve. There's another luxury TikToker that I think is very famous right now. Her name is Chloe and she's from Singapore. She says this very well in one of her videos.
The thing about TikTok is that if you don't like something you see, you just scroll past it, and if you really hate it, you can just block them and you'll never have to see that person ever again.
And so this idea that you can just scroll away really made me think about how are we curating our social media feed to make sure that we're being the best versions of ourselves, or have a feed that really helps us get to the place that we want to be. And so I really thought about it, and I thought about my social media feed and how a lot of it is junk sometimes, just for me to scroll hours and hours a day and not really get anything out of it. And so I really thought to myself, what are the things that I really do want to be listening to and looking at when I open the app? And one of the things that I have recently put a lot more time and effort to is to follow a lot of travel card hacking people. So I love to credit card point my way through things. I use credit cards responsibly, pay them off every month. But I do really like the idea that I can use what I've bought in my day-to-day life to redeem future flights or whatever it is. All of the business class flights I've ever had in my life have only been through redemption. I do not have the money to be buying a $5,000 flight to be spent in like 10 hours. But I do have a lot of points that is basically fake money, right? Like you can use it to do a lot of things. And so I use that to get the things that I want that I know that I can't financially afford. So following these people has really helped me figure out how do I best make use of those points, for example. And so things like that can help you really get the life you want rather than just scrolling and seeing people's unboxings. I think it's really helpful because then you can really take actionable steps to get the life that you want. And this is a shout out to all the genuine people out there who are trying to really help other people get that rich life. And I think that is way more important than watching someone unbox a bunch of things and finding out how much things cost. Trust me, I love that kind of content too. But I think that these were some of the takeaways that I found more insightful that I was hoping to share with you today. And so I hope you liked this video. If you're new to my channel, I do hope that you subscribe and stop by another time. This is a little bit of a different video than I normally do. If anything, one thing that I learned from her video is that it's important to be authentic, and this was something that I really felt like I wanted to share. And if that's something that resonates with you, I hope you do like it and subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye! By the way, if you're not new to my channel, I bet you noticed that the background is a little bit different. I have moved over the summer, and the sad thing is I don't really have many of my bags with me. So a lot of the videos right now might just be me riffing off, and I hope that you'll be okay with it as I journey across the world. That was my small update. Bye!